Finally time to cover this. I mean, what's the worst that could possibly happen? It's on fire! I'm gonna need mouthwash to drink after this. Kamen here, and I guess we're talking about Pokemon again, because why the hell not? Especially with the new forms that are introduced like Kiss Zigzagoon. Yes, please! But it's not all good, and I've already pointed this out in a few videos, but I think it's important that I actually talk about the controversy and actually respond to one of the critics of Pokemon Sword and Shield, especially one of the more vocal ones. And who better than Twip? Who is Twip? He's a Sonic YouTuber who turned into a Pokatuber.
The clowning has begun.
But he has made video after video after video critiquing the games, and if you want my thoughts on his videos in general, well, I think he's
adamant on pushing mediocrity.
Is that like a personal attack?
Well,
but I'm not happy that this game is just stealing everything from Sun and Moon.
Oh, you understood that? Not a word.
That's gonna be a fun thing to talk about. Now I know what you're thinking.
All you ever do is complain.
And let me tell you, no, I am not going to respond to his reaction video. Not only because I find the reaction video to be completely boring, but also due to the fact that he's pretty much going off the top of his head with his points, and it just wouldn't be fair to critique those. Well, I say that, but he really hasn't changed his points that much. Except, you know, actually understanding what Marnie is a part of.
Wait! This real... Wait, I know... Wait, stop! I know the deal! Wait. I know the deal. She's part of Team Yell.
The world in which I once saw happy rainbow colors has suddenly been tinged with gray.
No, we'll be tackling his latest video where he complains about how Sword and Shield is ripping off Sun and Moon. Yes, I know.
As I was watching the new Pokemon Sword and Shield trailers, a sudden realization came to mind.
We've got to have money.
These games look identical to Sun and Moon. No, I'm not just talking graphically. I've done that to death.
Oh yes, because making 11 videos complaining about the games that haven't come out yet in such a short time and comparing them to the Sun and Moon graphics, which anyone with eyes can tell there's a graphical upgrade there, I can see how some people would think that you're beating a dead horse. And this video won't help in the slightest. In fact, it might actually damage your credibility on this topic.
I'm talking about the entire setup of these games. It's one thing for a game to fall short graphically.
You know, I really hate saying this, but I have to. In your opinion. Seriously, one aspect that I hate about the National Dex controversy is that people are really trying to put their onions out there as if they were fat. I know you're probably watching this, Twip, but shock of all shocks, Pokemon hasn't been the most graphically stimulating game series out there in a long time. Some people care about graphics, others don't. But to have so many people complain about the graphics of a game that's not out yet, and hasn't actually made into your screen or switches, that doesn't mean a damn thing since you're not actually experiencing the true product. Sure, you can have an opinion on the trailers, but saying the game fails graphically, that's not a fact. That's an opinion. And it's sad I actually have to go into explaining what it is because apparently you don't know the difference. Did they reuse an animation for Hop from How? Yes, it can be proven. Unfortunately, saying Pokemon Sword and Shield have bad graphics is not a fact. Even if you have a lot of people saying it, that doesn't mean it's true. I mean, by that logic, popular YouTubers like the Paul brothers must be quality YouTubers and can do no wrong. It's argument ad populum, and I have to explain this because if I don't, I might be accused of, well...
How dare you!
But to fall short in every other department? That wouldn't help these games whatsoever.
I can see the future!
Every other department. And you know this? How? You can't even claim you know because you played the demo, since the demo isn't the full final experience.
And I'm very concerned about the outcome of these games. I want an original, fresh experience when jumping into these games.
Then why the hell are you playing Pokemon? Seriously, Pokemon is a mainline series that hasn't changed the formula too drastically in over 20 years. And in fact, when the Pokemon Company did try to change things up with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, changing the catching mechanic, removing abilities, and other attributes that were from Pokemon's long-standing traditions, people complained about it. Also, don't you think it's kind of weird to complain about wanting a fresh experience when most of your channel's success is capitalizing on Bringbacknationaldex controversy, which is predicated on having people bring back their old Pokemon to the new region? I don't know, it just seems kind of weird.
But at this current moment, all I'm seeing is sun and moon all over again. Let's compare these insane number of similarities between sun and moon and sword and shield, so that I can give you an idea of just exactly what I'm talking about, and hopefully open your mind as to why this may be a big issue in the very near future.
Warning! Warning! Bullshitter alert!
There's two very specific characters in these games that instantly reminded me of their previous incarnations, but it's just uncanny just how similar they really are. Let's start with Hop, your newest rival and next door neighbor.
Technically, he's not our newest rival. Marnie and Bede are. But I'm playing semantics now, so
Comparing him to Hao, I just can't believe how similar Game Freak made these two characters. Both start with the letter H, both have 3 letters. I know this sounds like an extreme reach, but bear with me for a second.
oh no! Oh no! I'm getting deja vu!
Removed from being an anagram for Ness. That's just a fun one. But if there was any doubt...
Both sport very similar design quirks.
Hold up. Explain. No. Legit. Explain this to me. You have both characters on the screen at this very moment, and looking at them, they don't have anything in common other than both being boys. They both have different styles of clothing. They both have different styles in general. They both have different colored eyes. Even their complexions are different. Heck, looking at the pictures you have on screen yourself, the two characters have vast differences. Stance, facial expressions, their eyes, different shapes. Heck, even their ears are different from each other. And let me go full art graduate on you right now. Hop sports a pale, cooler design palette, even taking into account his skin tone being quite desaturated. Meanwhile, Hao's color palette has a lot more warmer colors, and his palette for his skin is a lot more vibrant. Even the line work is different, with Hop's design having a lot more dependence on curves, with the hair and fluff around his collar being a prime example. Meanwhile, Hao's design sports a more angular design, with the exception of the curves around his face to give him a more welcoming feel. I know I went on a bit of a tirade about art and such, but Twip sure as hell ain't going to explain any of his points other than by means of platitudes. This is an issue that you have throughout your entire video. You don't explain what you mean. You literally are just asking your audience to take you at your word. You are literally don't elaborate on why you think their designs are similar, which anyone with working eyeballs in their skulls would be able to tell that they clearly don't, so you have to explain this. Now, funny thing, he actually brought this up on Twitter, and when I claimed that he was reaching with his points about Hao and Hop, he proceeded to claim I called him racist. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Which, by the way, no I didn't, Twip. Nowhere did I ever call you that. And me linking to a tweet that didn't even call you that either doesn't make it that I called you that. It's called citing a source to prove you did in fact say this in the tweet that I showed in my original one. Cause shock of all shocks, when you post an image of someone saying something and they delete that something, you have to be able to prove it was something they said, otherwise you come off as being a liar. I know it's a bit of a foreign concept, but hey, I just like to be honest.
Both are related to early major characters,
which has never, ever happened before! Never!
Both have that same upbeat persona,
again, which has never, ever happened before! Never!
And both use those exact same animations.
One animation. One of your fellow critics, Distant Kingdoms video, who massively cherry-picked what we do have, only showcased one animation that was reused. Not all animations. Glad to see you didn't even bother to respond to that. Then again, you're not actually showing any evidence of this. You're just expecting people to believe you when you say this. Then again, apparently your videos are highly edited, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Showing people proof of my claims through edits and evidence? What's that?
Hop may end up being a very different character, but everything we've seen so far just screams of Hao. And I seriously hope it doesn't turn out this way in the final game. I'm also very aware that some of these points have been a trait of past rivals, But this is the first time that so many similarities have been present at the same time.
Not counting your first two similarities since, well, those are completely BS. Your design comparison doesn't work, not helped by your lack of explanation. Your connection to an important character point happened 4 times in a row. Your happy character point happened 4 times in a row. Honestly, like I said on Twitter, you are reaching.
And uncoincidentally, from what I believe, comes straight from the generation before it. Hence why I believe they're too similar to each other.
Give me that mouthwash, I need to drink it!
Gen 7 and Gen 8 are right next to each other, which makes these similarities stand out even more.
Too bad most of them are extremely petty or, you know, wrong.
Now let's get on to Marnie. She may be more different to Gladion than Hop is to How, but I still feel that the resemblance is uncanny.
Okay, sell me this.
She has a major connection to the new evil team of these games.
So did Silver, so did Hugh, and even then their connections are completely different. Gladion was Team Skull's enforcer, i.e. actually a part of Team Skull. In fact, now that I think about it, Team Skull didn't actually like Gladion. Yeah, in fact, a lot of them didn't even actually consider him to be a member. Guzma did, but a lot of the members didn't. Meanwhile, Marnie isn't a part of Team Yell. They're her fan base, which, you know, is the complete opposite of what Team Skull thought of Gladion. You see, another issue I have with this video is that Twip is using extremely vague and generalized wording, which can be a dumb way to get your point across, because your argument unravels when specifics get into play. Not to mention your connection also fails since Gladion also has connections to the other major faction in Sun and Moon, the Aether Foundation. He used to be a part of that and has familial connections to it. Meanwhile, we have no clue what Marnie has any connections to any also possible factions in the game. Do you see how your comparison fails, especially when you use such vague wording? And of course you don't, because that actually requires being honest.
Both seem to be very brooding characters, adopting the same persona as Gladion.
Based on what? In the trailer, we're introduced to Marnie, where we see her smile and get excited when she's battling. The reason I think you thunk that was because she's rocking a gothic look. I don't know, you don't explain why, you're just expecting your audience to—
Hey!
And both have eerily similar looking designs, with the only exception really being gender.
No! Not only do they rock completely different design elements, such as Marnie rocking a jacket with studs and ribbon studs. What the hell are those? But she's also rocking a pink dress that takes up the other color in her design. Meanwhile, Gladion's rocking a gray sleeveless hood with black clothing underneath. They have completely different hairstyles, with the only similarity element being that they have some hair falling over their eyes. But again, you don't explain any of this! Literally, the only thing I can give you is they both have some black in their clothing and they both have hair falling over one of their eyes. But they're done so differently that it's a real stretch. I mean, do I have to point out the fact that, you know, Marnie has these tails and these horns, while Gladion has this ahoge in his hair? I mean, come on, Twip. Give me something! Anything!
The connection to the evil team isn't one for one the exact same, but it follows the same structure that Sun and Moon set up.
No, it doesn't. Then again, you don't bother to actually go into detail about this and, you know, try to have people follow along with your logic, so who knows? We can't read your mind!
Team Yell, the newest evil team of Sword and Shield. And even their name sounds goofy. And you know what other evil team were also goofy? Team Skull. Both of these teams rock very similar designs and very similar personas.
Are you stuck on repeat? What the hell? Haven't we heard this before? How do you even know that? We haven't seen a lick of dialogue from them! Oh yeah, the only similarity they see is they both utilize black in their designs. You know what other teams did too? Team Rocket and Team Plasma. From Black and White 2. Never mind the fact that they both have a lot more differences between each other, just keep throwing out that baseless, "they have similar designs" comment with nothing to back it up like it means something. Oh yes, the team that's based off gangsters and hoodlums has a similar design aesthetic to the punk rock era and rabid sports fans team. At least give them credit, Team Skull actually has a cool name and actually has a bigger goal in mind than Team Yell, and that was actually to get enough money to survive. We actually learned that Team Skull was formed by people who failed the island challenge and they acted like a family of outcasts. That's why they call Plumeria the big sister of the group. I mean, we don't even know if that's even the case with Team Yell. From what we're told, they just want Martin to be the champion and they're obstructing their rivals in their gym challenges. They just sound like pricks, and last time I checked, being a prick doesn't make you evil. But hey! What's the point of context, you know?
Not to mention the previously mentioned connection to Marnie.
You mean how they're her fan base and she's not actually a part of their team?
And it just baffles me how people haven't seen this already.
Oh, if it isn't the I see the truth, guys shtick. Twip, you are actively looking for any little thing to compare, and to do that, you are generalizing way too much and giving some of the vaguest wording I have ever seen concerning this topic.
Alolan forms and Galarian forms are a very obvious comparison to me.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
And while it is entirely true that these are basically the same thing, I do feel it's an okay feature to keep. It only makes sense to keep them in. It helps make these regions feel more alive and natural, having their own climates and cultures, so having Pokemon adapt to these changes is actually a cool idea. However, it's still a big comparison worth pointing out, as it now makes Sun and Moon feel just a bit less unique. But I just wanted to point out that I'm not necessarily complaining about this feature, just how it holds up in the grand scheme of things.
Actually, while this may be positive, I have to say it, you're still being kind of dishonest here. And you wanna know why? Because not only has this happened before in Pokemon, for example the Battle Frontier returning in Gen 4 from Gen 3, but frankly the fact that Galarian forms actually improve upon the concept of Alolan forms is actually something that blows the comparison out of the water. And I notice you don't actually bring that up. You show it, but really you don't mention how it's actually expanding into other generations of Pokemon, how there's actually the possibility of being their more unique evolution. You see, that's the thing. If a game can improve upon the concept of a previous mechanic or aspect of the older games it came from, then you can't really say it's ripping off the older games because it's bringing something new to the table. You wouldn't call Dante's style system from DMC4 a ripoff of DMC3 merely because they actually improved it in 4, since you can access the style changes during actual gameplay. And the fact that you neglected to mention these kinds of things shows that you're cherry-picking just to reinforce the idea that Sword and Shield are stealing so much from Sun and Moon. You know, it's funny, he'll mention this later, but things like Z-moves are supposed to be canonically an Alolan thing only. Then there's also Ride Pokemon, and there's a ton of other things in the games of Sun and Moon that make them unique from other games. Why do you have to be so generalizing with all this?
Sun and Moon presented us with Island Trials, a replacement for gyms that gave players new challenges for each trial, facing off against a totem Pokemon at the end before facing the island's kahunas. And guess what? The new gyms in Sword and Shield have adopted this almost exact.
He says, with only one gym actually being shown to us in Sword and Shield. So again,
I can see the future!
While the totem Pokemon are gone, the gyms now have challenges, simply named Gym Challenges, in which you're given a new challenge for each gym you enter, just like the Island Trials. It's yet another copy from Sun and Moon, and just makes those games feel less unique. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but it's yet another stolen concept.
as opposed to every single gym in the previous games that had challenges. Wait, what? Oh my Arceus, Twip, have you played any Pokemon game before Sun and Moon? Stolen concept? No! No! Stolen concept? Plenty of gyms in previous games had challenges to them. Vermilion City Gym, you had to find switches in garbage cans. Cinnabar Gym, you had to answer quiz questions or beat the trainer in order to advance throughout the gym. Mahogany Gym had you slipping on ice in order to get to the gym leader. Fortree City had you a door challenge in order to progress. And there's been a lot more. And from what we've seen from the water gym in Sword and Shield, it's the exact same concept. So forgive me if I call BS on this, stole this concept, when it's a concept that's been a part of the Pokemon game since its inception.
And I'd much rather have a new concept than this. I just don't want them retreading the same ground they already have. I want Sword and Shield to be as unique as humanly possible.
Well, it's all well and good, but when you're spreading misinformation, and yes, I'm calling it misinformation at this point, you're not doing yourself any favors there, boy.
And lastly, there is of course the Dynamax and Z-moves comparison, which is something I've compared before, so I won't go on about it for too long here. Just that it's another nuke button that powers up your moves, except now you get 3 turns instead of 1 like Z-moves.
As well as power up your Pokemon stats. I mean, that was shown in the E3 demo. Oh, and changes the form of some Pokemon with Gigantamaxing. Another change that Twip fails to acknowledge.
Not as similar as the other points I've made, but still similar nonetheless. Add all of these points together, and I think it becomes very clear what these games are doing. They're taking the incredibly safe route of replicating everything that worked from Sun and Moon, and just doing it again. While trying to fix something that isn't broke isn't a bad route to go, it is going to lead to a much less unique experience.
I can see the future!
Which is why they removed Mega Evolution and Z-moves and put in Gigantamaxing, raid battles, and the wild area. Sure, Twip, sure. And that's pretty much his video, with save for a meaningless comment and the end screen. Look, I'm sure Twip clicked off the moment that my video made a joke at his expense. After all, apparently I need to go away with that, and since I'm belittling him, but here's some friendly advice. Learn to actually explain, learn to actually show proof, and learn to actually know how to use an actual argument. Oh, and don't let you know where I stand when it comes to Sword and Shield. I've been critical of the games myself, and I've even told people to wait for reviews before actually making a purchase. But hey, I guess what's the matter with context? Honestly, even if I do give this advice, I doubt he'd actually listen. From where I stand, he's actually proven that he doesn't actually care about Pokemon. If he did, he wouldn't be generalizing so much just to make this video. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. So to those who are watching, to those who are not Twip, don't just believe either side in this debate. Don't just swallow whatever facts are laid out in front of you. From what I've seen, both sides have a tendency to cherry pick as well as just rely on the eye test, which, you know, any actual developer will tell you that's a stupid thing to do. And this video, Twips, is a prime example of cherry picking. Don't just take the word of anyone who makes a video defending or bashing the games. And yes, that includes me. I want you to question my thoughts and my opinions. I want you to be able to think for yourself. You actually have to think. You actually have to put some effort into what you're saying, and while this might be just a video game, it's a thought process that's still dangerous and harmful to spread around. Don't just generalize topics, even if something may be similar on a surface level, that doesn't mean the similarities are actually true. I'm Kamen, thanks for watching, and remember to examine your fandom.